ability to accept the combined decisions of others, patience, good humour at all times, tolerance and courtesy, while working in the best interests of our community. In declaring the meeting open, councillors, we are running an hour and 10 late. However, we have canvassed all of the issues in finance and performance that we're now being asked to confirm in the governing body. So hopefully we can make up some of that time and give people a break to have some lunch before we begin our workshop, which I think is due to start at 1:30. So first of all, there are no apologies. Are there any declarations of interest by any councillor? If not, there are no petitions today. It's an extraordinary meeting, no public input, no local board input, and I haven't been informed of any extraordinary items. So we come now to item number 8. If I can ask Alistair Cameron and Claire Gomez to come to the table. I don't intend... They've gone. Oh, well, that simplifies the matter, just in case there were to be any questions or debate. So the resolution was on the screen a moment ago, and it's going to come back any moment. It's to agree to consult on the full transfer of waterfront assets currently owned by Panuku Development Auckland to the council entity. I'll move that way as a seconder, Councillor Linda Cooper. Are there any questions? I'm not sure who they would be to. Is there any discussion? Councillor Collins.
It's probably to you or to the finance chair, is that in the last discussion, the notion of council entity was raised. Are we satisfied that that's an okay term to go to consultation with?
That's the term that we're using. I haven't heard any alternative suggestion as to what would replace that with, Councillor Clow.
I have canvassed that a little bit. I'd rather leave it like that for the time being, but it is a work in progress, and the point was noted by the finance team.
Be better to have more specificity, Councillor, I agree, than that broad term. Okay, if there are no further questions or comments, Councillor Lee.
Make a brief comment, Mr. Mayor. About a year ago, we had a confidential briefing in regard to the council's debt ceiling and the pressing need for capital works in the group, such as the central interceptor in particular. And at that briefing, which Watercare attended, we were told that you and senior council managers were in communication with the government in regard to the legality and the feasibility of setting up a special purpose vehicle to help fund this capital works, which was because otherwise the council would exceed its debt limit. What I'm concerned about is the state of that debt limit and the fate, the ultimate fate of these assets, given the lesson the painful lesson we had to learn when the council took over the diversified fund assets of Auckland Council Investments Limited and spent the lot. And therefore, I am really concerned about the real reasons behind the transfer of these assets to this organisation or so-called entity, and where they will ultimately end up, given the parlous state of our debt limits, debt envelope. So I will not be voting for this because simply I don't believe the public can be assured that direct council ownership will fulfil what they want, maintain the public ownership of these special assets which come down from the Auckland Harbour Board and have been kept and preserved since that time, in the hands of this council, given its debt situation and given its spending and failure to make significant savings. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we've canvassed all of the reasons why this resolution is before us in the last session. I don't think there's much more that can be added to that. But the reason that it's brought to us at this time is because of the pending coming into force of legislation that would have significant financial implications for Auckland ratepayers if a decision was deemed necessary and taken after the new legislation comes into force, not before. I don't think I can add anything further to that. Are there any further comments? If not, Councillor Hulse.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. There's been some, not accusations, but some fairly strong words used by Councillor Lee. We need to be really clear that these assets are coming back to council. They aren't passing to some other entity. They are in public ownership and they are passing back into even more transparent public ownership. If decisions get made, they get made around this table. I think we can't muddy the waters or construct an entirely different picture as Councillor Lee was doing. They are coming back to this council body, giving this council body the complete control over what happens to them, and at the same time protects a $200 million possible spend or claim by Wellington. It is so simple. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further comments? If not, I'll put the resolution. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. Carried with, Councillor, do you want your vote recorded? Okay, with one voice in dissent. We now come to item number 9, which is amendments to the revenue and financing policy and rates. It's been moved by Councillor Clow. I'm happy to second that. Are there any questions or comments on this document at this stage? What I will deal with is, first of all, clause A, and once that has been passed, if it should be passed, I will then be handed by the Chief Executive a letter of representation, which has been signed for the Office of the Auditor General. And then I'll be inviting, and if I can acknowledge Greg Scollum and Joe Smale, I'll invite them to the table to comment on the audit opinion. So if there's no further debate at this stage, I'll move clause A. All those in favour, please say aye. To the contrary, no. I declare that carried unanimously. And if I could invite Greg and Joe to the table, please. That's been signed by me.
So that's me to you.
So that's the back-to-back. I've received that. And those are the letters that should both be signed. So I'll ask you to pass those to the Deputy Auditor General. Greg and Joe, welcome back. Happy New Year. And I'll ask you to speak to the audit opinion on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few brief comments. I'm very conscious of time here. It was very interesting to listen to the debate and the questions. It's certainly, you've given it due consideration in my view. Just as you've been discussing, the adoption of the consultation document is just the first step in the process you've embarked upon or are embarking upon as far as amending the LTP, the long-term plan. Obviously, the consultation follows, and then there's your consideration of the feedback from that consultation process, and then a further decision by this body about whether to amend the long-term plan, and if so, how? Is it the full transfer, the partial transfer, or the no transfer option? And just to remind, if you thought you were getting rid of us at the consultation document stage, you're not, because we get involved at that second stage as well of the LTP amendment itself. So we'll be tracking along and working closely with management as we have been throughout this LTP amendment process to date. So just very briefly, I think it's already been alluded to, but I'm in a position to issue a clean audit opinion on the consultation document, which means we are satisfied with what's there. We think it's clear and sufficiently clear, and also sets out the options in addition to the main proposal that you're consulting on. So to wrap it all up, we think it's fit for purpose to consult with your community. So I'm in that position now, so I'll be, now that you're at this stage, prepared to sign that off. Happy to take questions.
Thank you very much. Joe, anything that you want to add to that? That's fine. This is an opportunity, if you do have questions, to the Office of the Auditor General to do so, but I think the opinion that Greg has just expressed is very clear and very, very good from our point of view. If there are no questions, I'll thank you both. My apologies for keeping you a little longer than you might have been anticipating. And I'll now move clause B, noting that the audit opinion will be inserted into the consultation document. Are there any speakers on that issue? If not, I'll put clause B. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no, carried. And finally, clause C. There's no further contributions on that. I'll move that clause accordingly. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no, carried. We come now to item number 10, amendments to the revenue and financing policy and the remission and postponement policy. And it's been moved by Councillor Simpson, been seconded by Councillor Hulse. If there's no further discussion on that, I shall put that resolution, which is on the screen in front of you. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. I declare that carried. We come now to the last substantive item, which is the annual budget and water strategy discussion document and engagement approach. And the recommendations again on the screen and have been discussed at the last session. So I'll ask for somebody to move that. Deputy Mayor, moved, seconded by Councillor Collins. If there's no further discussion on that, I'll put those resolutions. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no, carried. And you'd like your vote recorded against it, Councillor Fletcher? Okay, that's fine. We shall do that accordingly. And that was a very efficient session of the governing body, and we've made up a bit of time that gives people 40 minutes for lunch. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's right. If we can keep this record up for the rest of the year, we'll be doing extraordinarily well. So I'll declare the meeting closed and see councillors back here for